Shenanigans, truth, lies, shenanigans, lies, shenanigans, truth, lies, shenanigans, truth, lies, shenanigans, truth, lies, shenanigans. Tune in to TLS, yeah, tune in to TLS. It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to the Truth Lies Shenanigans podcast. Social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a ton of fun and shenanigans along the way. We are thrilled today to have Kat Henson, host of the Sesh Podcast. She's joining us to tell us about her amazing podcast and her business, Crescent Media. Also, we've got a couple of hot topics on deck. We're tackling the angry black woman trope in tennis after Coco Gauff's contentious match last week. And we're diving into the Burning Man storm debacle, where thousands of festival goers were left stranded.
Yep.
All right, if this is your first time stopping in, we record our podcast live Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, TruthLiesShenanigans.com. And we want your comments to make it into our official audio podcast that you can download on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, podsnetwork.com, or anywhere you listen to your podcast. So get to YouTube or Facebook at TLSLiveShow and start typing your comments and questions. All right, I see you, Jacqueline Robinson. Good evening. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. First up, we've got our gamer, nature lover, rock star, coming to you from Ontario, Canada, Rob B.
Hey, Rob.
Thank you. Love those intros, man. Love those intros. But
Always great.
happy hump day, everyone. I had an amazing paddle last weekend, and the bald eagle got to redeem itself in my eyes. So a little bit of a backstory.
What?
The last time I saw a bald eagle was about 3 years ago, and it was at a municipal dump on a rainy day. So it looked like a dirty, pathetic garbage bird, and it tainted my view of it.
Like a
It really
vulture.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But on Sunday, we were out on a local lake with our kayaks, and the eagle was circling the lake for about an hour, and it was just so beautiful to behold. It was just so majestic. Yeah.
Was that
And,
like
you
your
know,
second time seeing a bald eagle or something?
Yeah, they're not common
no.
here.
I've seen a bunch.
I've seen, yeah. No, they're unfortunately, Johnny. They do come up here a lot,
I've never.
and they are definitely attracted to the waste, like to municipal dumps and stuff. They are around.
Interesting.
The closest sighting I've seen is when just up my street, I was running, and maybe about 350 feet from my house is my mailbox. And as I was out for my run, this shadow was cast above me, and I looked up, and
They're
was
big
like,
birds.
oh my God, there's a bald eagle in my
They're
neighborhood.
huge.
What's going on?
They're big birds.
Yeah. I didn't see
Huge.
one with my own eyes until my late 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just
haven't
need
seen
to see
one.
them more and more around here.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen them at a zoo.
yeah, they were almost extinct for a minute there, but they are coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were. That's not
So is seeing a bald eagle good luck or something?
I guess it's an
Yeah,
auspicious
success.
sign. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
If
it was a
you're
good thing.
superstitious.
I saw a bald eagle, which you don't see every day. So that was the blessing.
we're going to say that's good
That
luck.
was the blessing.
All right. Next up,
Exactly.
our young, vibrant model and business owner streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, Gianni Storm.
Guys, I've had a pretty chill week. Like, there's been nothing exciting this week that's happened, but I think what I'm excited about this week that I've incorporated is that I've actually started cooking some recipes that my mom used to cook.
Oh, like what?
Now,
Oh,
so
nice.
so my mom made this Spanish dish. It's like beefsteak. I don't know. Maybe Kat can help me when she comes on. We're different types of Hispanic, but still. But it's like
types of Hispanic.
there's different.
Oh, you know, I was.
I can't wait for her to come.
Okay.
It's beefsteak, rice and beans, and the like paste base is like sofrito, so it's like peppers, crushed peppers, cilantro, seasoning, all that good stuff.
Nice.
And plantains, plátanos. So
Oh yeah. So fried
yeah.
plantains, sweet.
Some fried plantains. No, I made the salty ones, not
Okay.
the sweet.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Very
just
cool.
incorporating some.
Nice. Yeah. I get that type of food. Like, well, I get the plantains and the beef because my mother-in-law is Haitian. So man, she's cooking.
Wow.
She cooks all the time,
Ooh.
all the Caribbean food.
Good.
Matter of fact,
Delicious.
That's
I
awesome
was
for you. It's soulful and it's good cooking. It's a way for you to connect with your mom. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
but I
Thank
just
you,
wanted to say,
Rob,
I just
yeah.
wanted to say, so I was before the pandemic, right? I would have, I was kind of good, a decent weight, right? I want to say, but my mother-in-law came over
Average weight.
to stay with us during the pandemic, and goodness gracious,
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
she was cooking all the time. I mean, so
She showed her appreciation by feeding you well,
Aw,
she fed me
yeah.
too well.
That was her thank you.
So
Too
Gianni,
well.
I'd love to try some of your food because if it's anything like that,
Oh, I
it's
got
good.
you. I got you guys.
That confidence in her eyes. I got you.
I got you.
Wait till I perfect it, but I got you guys.
All right, sounds good to me.
Nice.
All right, and of course, I'm your host, Neo Nix. So, guys,
Yeah.
so I started watching the documentary "Catching a Monster," the Jared Fogle story from Subway.
Jeffrey Dean.
Jared Fogle from Subway, right?
No.
Did you-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that he was like a pedophile and a?
Yep. That's why he lost the
No.
sponsorship deal.
I remember hearing about it when it happened, but I didn't know. Right? I didn't really. I really didn't know all the details. I
I
mean,
didn't know that.
but he was really bad. I mean, he was a real creep. He ended up going to
So he
jail
was
for
a
like
serial killer?
a pedophile.
No.
Oh, okay.
Little boys
Just-
and little girls. He was having sex
Okay.
with little girls and little boys and
Okay.
doing
Disgusting.
child pornography and stuff like that. And
Ooh, see.
Disgusting.
but he only got 15 years in jail. I was like, what
He
the
should have
hell?
been under the jail.
Yeah, he only got 15 years, and it reminded me while I was watching. It reminded me of Mayor Patrick. And for you
I
guys
was
that don't
thinking
know,
about him.
Mayor
Yeah.
Patrick was a previous guest on our show who was arrested for child pornography. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Protect the kid.
he was arrested for child pornography. But did I tell you guys what eventually happened to him?
No, update us.
So he pled guilty to 140 counts of child pornography. 140
Ooh.
counts. He ended up
Okay.
getting 150 years.
No
Well
way.
deserved. You know what? Well deserved. Sorry.
I mean, but he only served 30 because he's got 120 suspended for pleading guilty, but 30 years. I mean, but Jared
What?
Fogle was actually having sex with children and got 15. Not saying that it was, that we really
Similar.
can compare, but Jared Fogle definitely should have gotten a lot more time. Should have gotten a lot of time.
Life.
But
Life.
140 counts, guys. 140.
That's
I mean,
insane.
I don't know, and there's no
So
telling what else he might have been doing. That's just what they caught him on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
So 140 counts means like they charged him 140 times, or it was 140 pieces of evidence. Like where's
all
the?
of that. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because
So
each piece of evidence is
a
a count
count.
of the crime.
No way. What?
Yep.
yeah. So
And you know what? I mean, Fogel with 15 years, we'll see if he makes it out because these types of offenders usually don't fare well in prison.
Yeah, they don't.
yeah, that's something. Jack
Damn,
Robson just
Patrick.
said he won't survive in jail. He also said, "I saw that. I remember when she also said, I saw that. I remember when Jared was arrested, but I had no idea it was that bad. I didn't. I mean,
I think he's going to be the recipient of some unfortunate foot-long jokes.
Shut up, bro. Yikes.
all right, with that, we just have to
No
get our guest
way.
up in here. We have to... Oh my God, Robbie, you are crazy.
Rob is
All right. Tonight we're joined by the incredible Kat Henson, host of the Sisters Sesh Podcast. With a focus on cannabis culture and personal growth, Kat's show is all about sisterly love and real-life narratives. She's also the founder of Crescent Media, empowering aspiring podcasters. Let's welcome Kat in. Welcome, Kat. How are you?
Hello.
Hey, Kat.
I'm excited to be here. You guys have like the most fanciest setup.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. I mean, I'm sure you heard Gianni say you guys are a different kind of Hispanic. So
Oh yes, there is a difference. There is a difference.
you're different kind of Hispanic.
Thank you, right, Kat? There are different, and some Hispanics are very prideful to be that specific hit. Like I know that Puerto Ricans are very proud. I know Mexicans are very proud, and I know Cubans are very like loud and proud. So
Okay,
there's,
well, what kind of Hispanic are you, Gianni?
Well, see, for me, I was raised with. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Kat. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, for me, like my grandmother always told us, "Have you ever that you're Mexican American and that there's a difference?" So, if you've ever seen the movie Selena, her dad tells her, "We're too white for the Mexicans, and we're too Mexican for the white people." Like,
Right,
and
yeah.
that's really what it is.
That's how you feel.
I was like, yeah, because you don't really fit in to that part of it. So like we have the traditions, we have the culture, but I didn't grow up with the language. I learned that later on in my 20s.
Oh, really? So you didn't
Yeah.
speak you didn't speak Spanish until your 20s?
Yeah, not until I got into the workplace.
Wow. Did it come natural to you?
Well, I knew what certain words and phrases were. My grandparents, they were really hard workers. I'll put this into perspective. They raised all four of their children. They raised, I want to say 20 out of 26 of their grandchildren. And then they raised about 15 out of their 20 great-grandchildren, myself included.
Wow.
So it was 20 of us in a 5-bedroom home. It was multi-generational.
Wow.
And I loved every aspect of it. I have an aunt. Her and I are exactly 3 years apart. So she's 3 years older than me.
Wow.
So I grew up
She's
with
your
my
mom.
aunts and uncles and my cousins, and we all went to high school
Big
together.
family.
A big family. Yeah.
But I got to get back
Man,
to
hats
Gianni.
off to your
I got to get back to
grandparents.
Gianni. Hold on.
That's- Wow.
Gianni, what kind of Hispanic are you?
I love that Kat broke it down like that because I kind of feel that way too. Like I am a Puerto Rican, but Puerto Rico is a part of America.
Well, it's
But-
Hispanic.
And my biological dad is I believe he's black. So
Okay.
I'm like in between, and I
Puerto
grew
Rican?
up speaking. Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican, and
There we go.
grew up speaking English and Spanish. And so it's like I don't fit in to either. So I'm just like, I guess what they call Afro Latina now.
Afro
that's a
Latina.
thing.
Yeah.
Like it.
With the inflection. Nice.
So,
Right.
so Kat, first question I have to ask you is, can you tell us something that we cannot Google about you? Our audience right now would not be able to pull up Google and say, who is this Kat Henson? What can they not find on you?
I was a production assistant I lived in Los Angeles, so and during my internship, I used to work in the newsroom
Oh.
in Burbank at NBC Newsroom.
Ooh.
My one and only job was to hold a boom mic.
Cool.
paid
Oh, that's
hour.
a long day.
Especially for the morning news. Oh my goodness. Just like, yep.
But did you end up with some
All day,
muscles? I
every
mean, you
day.
gotta have some muscles, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Arm
but
strength
I was
right
in
there.
college, and part of our requirement, because I have a bachelor's degree in media production,
Mhm.
so a lot of
Nice.
it was you had to put in hours, you had to find an internship, and I was like,
Yeah.
I will take anything I can get, and it was paid, and I was like, when can you find that in LA?
Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
Even you get sometimes.
And it's a fun experience.
But it was
Like, I
getting up
was-
at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting it ready, because
I'm
it
going
starts
to
at
sleep at 3 in
4:30.
the
The morning
morning,
news, like
Oh my
4:30, and
goodness,
it's on a. You don't think it's on a loop, but they have segments. So from like 4:30 until maybe noon, you're really working in
Overnight
a good shift. holding that mic.
Wow.
That's a long
That's a
day.
cool experience.
Wow.
Well, real quick, tell us about
Yeah.
the Sister Sesh podcast. What inspired you to create, a show that explores cannabis culture and personal growth? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Sesh Podcast is with me and my sister Alicia. I came out of a really deep dark depression. I needed a project. I didn't want to do it alone, so I called her and I was like, I really want to do a podcast, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what it's about. She's like, well, then let's just get lit and brainstorm. And so
Simple.
I like that.
So we really took our first episode. We recorded a FaceTime, and we just really broke down our weekly conversations of us. And it's a cannabis lifestyle podcast. So we do break out. We go through. Do you know your weed kit? My weed kit is different from hers.
Your weed kit.
Because-
Interesting.
yeah.
Yep.
It's weed kid.
So it's a puff. It's the etiquette of a puff pass.
Okay.
So-
I've heard of this.
yeah,
Yeah,
Rob B would know
so-
about that. Rob B does.
Yeah. Each generation is different. What you call back in the day, they used to call it like Mary Jane. Now they call it like a tote. There's different names for cannabis. The
Mhm.
more like it's integrated into our culture
It is,
and
yeah.
more accepted
It
in
is.
everything. So
Sure.
what she calls like I call her. I'm like, oh, did you call your connect? And she goes, you mean my plug? That means that person that you buy weed from. And I was like, what do you mean? What's a plug? And she's like, it's the connect. It's the guy who connects you with weed. I go, yeah, I call it a connect. She goes, no, my generation calls it a plug.
Oh, good.
Like
Yeah.
I go, like a
Okay.
plug and an outlet.
Right.
And she goes, yeah, because you
Ah.
plug it in, is your plug. And I was like, so we integrate those things
The
and
slang.
we just share our
Yes.
life together. So if you ever have seen that 70s show, our premise of our podcast is really that that they're getting high.
Nice.
You know that they are like sesh, but they're having those weird conversations and they're just open. And when we have our guests on, we tell them, just so you know, it's not required to partake, but just know we have beforehand.
So now, just to follow
Nice.
up on that, which famous stoners would you love to sesh
Ooh.
with on the show?
Mm.
Snoop
We've
Doggy
said it
Dogg.
and we're manifesting it right now. We want Snoop Dogg. Like
course.
that would be
Snoop?
so Snoop, Willie Nelson, and then like Jelly Roll. Those are like our
Willie
top
Nelson.
three. So
What?
Really?
Now,
So what about?
who's
I've
Jelly
heard
Roll?
that Snoop and Willie
I know
Nelson
I'm old.
have
I know I'm
smoked
old.
together.
Who's Jelly Roll?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jelly Roll,
Snoop
he's
and-
up and
Snoop and
coming.
Willie-
Yeah. Jelly Roll is an up and coming country artist.
Mm.
And he has really taken the country scene by storm.
Okay.
And like
Yeah.
he comes from he was a drug addict. He was a juvenile, adolescent. He was in and out of prison.
Is he
And so
like
he
heavy
write-
set and has tattoos all over him?
Yes, and his wife
I know.
actually is the host of the Dumb Blonde podcast, and she used to
Mm.
be
Oh yeah,
a sex worker.
I know that.
So
I know that.
they have a beautiful love story. And
Yeah, I've heard it.
I just really am inspired by them, and they've overcome a lot of similarities and challenges that I have, and I'm just like, they can make
sure.
it, so can I.
Jose's online. She
And I can-
says
I can
Snoop Dogg and
confirm that
Seth Rogen.
Snoop.
Ooh,
and,
Seth
Willie
Rogen?
Nelson
Yes,
absolutely
so-
spoke together. Snoop
Yes.
was asked
Really?
who he was asked if there was anyone who ever smoked him under the table, and at that point he was just like, "Excuse me," he said Willie Nelson, just under the table.
What?
Finished him.
Yes, the Snoop pays a guy to roll his blunts. Like that's his job. He's a professional blunt roller.
That is an awesome career.
Yeah, Snoop
I
Snoop
get
smokes a
like
lot of
$60K
weed.
a year to roll
Yeah.
his weed. I was like, well, dang.
If you would have said dead or alive, I would have said like Bob Marley, or even Cat Williams smokes weed, and he's a comedian. Cat Williams, that's somebody.
Yeah.
He's funny. Just people
Bill
that you
Maher
would laugh
be an
with.
interesting stoner.
I gotta
Bill
admit,
Maher would be
Yeah.
interesting.
I don't really like the smell of
Chappelle.
weed, so I
You can
wouldn't
have
be smoking
edibles.
with nobody.
Yeah.
You can have edibles. You
My
can have
husband-
drinks.
He doesn't like the smell of it, but he will partake in a edible cookie and play his video
Yeah.
game. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, but I'm not doing any sessions
All
with
good.
nobody.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
just
just making that
Come on,
clear.
because my guy is called the dispensary or the pharmacist. You know, it's all legal
Yeah,
up here.
okay.
dispensary.
Yeah.
Little,
Yeah, because it's legal.
Formal.
It's been legal for how long has it been legal?
Who's
Has it
your
always
guy?
been legal in
The
Canada?
clerk. No. So the legalization occurred, I want to say, about 3 years ago.
Okay.
But I've had my medicinal carry card for about a decade.
Yeah, I have my medicinal. I had it. I lived in California, and it was just fully state legal. Then when I moved here to Arkansas, I was like, oh, I need my rec, and so I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I guess I'm gonna do that.
but I kind of had a question, Kat. Do you know any like trends or because you know the cannabis industry is always developing. They have like all types of new things and like I said, new developments. Do you have any, or can you tell us of any trends that you guys would talk about or you find like interesting that you would explore on your podcast, possibly?
I think we explored this in a previous episode. So the sesh boxes are really like up and coming, and every celebrity that you know that has partaken in any type of cannabis, they will put out their own sesh box. So they'll work with a dispensary or a weed farmer, a grower, and they will curate
Yeah.
those certain strands just for them. And then they have like their logos and their brands and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, so like Dwayne Wayne just did his first like luxury sesh box, and we're like, my sister knows more about
Sweet.
sports, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is,
You don't know
but and she
Dwayne
was
Wade?
oh yeah, yeah, she's like, oh yeah, and so we debated like, is it worth the price? You get a tray, some papers, you know, is it worth the $60? Yeah, just with
Right.
Or
his
you could do
face.
like Seth
Basic,
Rogen
like-
and just start your own company and just have your
Yeah.
own stock, not curate a brand that people are paying for, but here, this is my
Create
company.
your own
All
flavor.
the brands are mine.
So Rob,
Well,
All the
even, like-
brands are
you're gonna
mine.
start growing in your garden, Rob. You're gonna start growing it in your garden.
I didn't know you said Seth Rogen.
Yep.
I didn't know he smoked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Seth
Seth
Rogen
Rogen.
and
That's Rogan, yeah.
even
You
Snoop
didn't
Dogg, they have
know?
their
I didn't know
own
that.
cannabis companies.
Have you not heard him
The-
laugh?
And
He's an actor, the actor, right? And he has that
Yeah.
funny like Jewish. Okay, I love Seth
Yes.
Rogen.
He started a cannabis company called Houseplant Marijuana, and it's been very successful because he's been associated with that industry throughout his entire movie career. So it was just a natural progression to. He's not going to be
Yeah,
a
if you ever
gin
seen
baron, but
Pineapple
man, he's going to be a weed baron.
Pineapple Express, yes. That was a great
Duh.
movie. Pineapple
I'm
Express.
So slow.
Yes.
Duh. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
I
real
and
quick-
even that in culture, there are stoner movies. There are movies that you just can sit there and mindlessly, like, just enjoy
Yeah.
your sesh to, and that's that
Yep.
entertainment, and you'll understand all of that. That's what Cheech and Chong are like mostly famous for in their comedy.
That's true.
We got an online question for you. So, Jacqueline Robinson, has
Where's
climate
Dave,
change
man?
has climate change affected the quality of weed for growers?
Interesting.
I'm not quite
Hmm.
sure, but I would assume so. A lot of like more industrial growing is done indoors in
That's
warehouses.
what I
Yeah.
thought.
So
Okay.
under a controlled environment, especially if it's going to dispensaries and everything. I remember when back in 2014, I moved up to Northern California and I lived on a weed farm for a year.
Mm.
And
Oh,
it was
wow.
trimming season. It was trimming season. You've traded room and board, and you trimmed, and we wore masks, and we were, it was all federally legal and regulated. So we had to
So
have
cool.
gloves, and we had to have masks on, and we had to just sit there, and it was 12-hour shifts, sitting there trimming it, making sure it's nice and pretty.
Wow.
We had to weigh
Wow, interesting.
everything.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you see the cultivation of it too. Each strain has a different growing process depending on what it is, and
Yeah.
even the seedling process. Even now, if you smoke, most people try to keep the little seeds that come out of their nugs because then they can repurpose them and then they can grow them.
Grow their
Um,
own.
Oh.
They
Yes.
can grow that. Oh, that
I've
same
grown one in my
strain.
closet in college. I've grown a plant in my closet in college.
Really?
Wow.
I've heard of
So
people
you are
growing them
truly
themselves
a
in the
weed
closet.
expert.
connoisseur. Yeah.
No, I'm more of a I'm
Cannabis
just a basic
connoisseur.
stoner.
Basic stoner.
Stoner girl.
All right, so all this talk about weed's been fun, but let's switch gears just slightly. So you in your podcast, I was listening to your podcast, you're really open about your mental health journey, how it led you to podcasting and how it's been transformative for you. But can you speak about, your journey, your mental health journey, and, how it's been a struggle for you? Because we talk about mental health often on this show because, it's important to all of us. We all have our things that we're dealing with. And I'm just curious what your experience has been.
I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the age of 5.
Wow.
I had a
Wow.
I am a child of an addict, and a lot of that recompression, and my lifestyle growing up was, my family's were part of gangs and that kind of thing, and my grandparents really struggled to kind of shelter us and protect us from those things.
Mhm.
My uncles were always into drugs and selling and distributing and doing whatever they wanted. It was a different lifestyle. So for us growing up, it was like we knew the cops were coming. Like we knew the house was going to get raided before they ever showed up. We
Mm.
knew that things
Yeah.
were going to be
Expected.
that way. So I when my father died, I had a mental breakdown and I dealt with suicide for the very first time, which is very hard for a 5-year-old. How does a 5-year-old comprehend that they don't want to be here
Aw.
anymore? So I've been in and out of therapy throughout my whole life, and then I want to say 4 years ago,
Mm.
I got diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. I checked myself into a mental hospital, and I was there for about a year.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, I want to get to the root of this. Like, I'm not leaving here until you diagnose me. Like, and then I was married prior, so I went through a huge divorce.
Mm.
And I
Oh my
moved
God.
back to California, and I found a really great psychologist, and that's when she diagnosed me. And she was like, you know what? None of these psychotics that you're taking is doing it. Let's try cannabis. And I was like, no, wait, nope. I was like, nope. You know my history. You know, um, addiction runs within me. I've struggled with my own addiction. I'm not going to touch it. And she's like, well, let's try it. And I've integrated that and have healthy boundaries with it
Has it
through the
helped though?
process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It helps a lot with the auditory hallucinations. So if
Nice.
you don't know what schizoaffective disorder is, bipolar disorder
I know
and
bipolar.
schizophrenia. So I have the mood swings, the highs and the lows of bipolar 1.
Okay.
Bipolar.
And yeah. So when my highs are I'm like, I'm great, I'm doing good, I'm a workaholic, I pick up too many projects, and then something small and inconvenient will just be that catalyst. I'm like, all right, I'm a piece of crap. I don't feel loved and valued and appreciated. And then I also hear voices. So that's where the cannabis comes in. It calms, and then it
Those
lessens the PTSD of certain traumas.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
Wow.
Kat. Thank you for sharing that. It's very heavy. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
what is that experience like when you're, because my brother was bipolar. I think my mother was undiagnosed bipolar. I'm just curious, what is the experience like when you are hallucinating? I mean, are you aware that you're hallucinating, or is it just
To a certain extent. So
Okay.
there are when I'm very manic. So when I'm in a manic episode, and what I've learned is manic episodes aren't just like weeks and months, they can be years. They're those crazy, like you just don't care about the consequences of your actions. You're just going to do what you want to do. And you don't care about the repercussions. I've had seasons and dark
Right.
seasons like that, and then that's where the hallucination. It's where it's like those voices. I have someone telling me in my ear, and the best way it will describe it. It's like a radio in my head. It depends on what's really I'm going on in my life.
Mhm.
So if things are good, they're like at a very low, like white noise. If my
Mhm.
anxiety is really high, it's very drowning. Like I can't focus. Um,
Yeah.
I'm even if my children are yelling and they're playing around, and I'm still hearing other things. I will have to tell my partner, "Hey, I need a minute. Like I need to step away.
Yeah.
Wow.
I need a
Absolutely.
minute." But I've had to learn to communicate those needs, and that's really really difficult to communicate. Like, "Hey, I need a minute.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
overstimulated. I'm not all here, and
It's
it's okay to say that I'm not okay."
it's got to be
Yeah.
tough to
Yeah.
have children, and trying to deal with your mental health the way you are. It's got to be tough.
Yeah, I've got a lot of backlash because they're like, "Well, if you smoke, then you're not really a present parent." I was like, "No, you have to understand. I have to smoke to be a
In
present
order to be
parent. I
present.
am a better,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm
That's
better.
interesting.
Even
It's
if I
different in this
spoke in
scenario.
the morning and through where it's now the afternoon and we're chilling at the pool, I feel better because I'm more present. I'm
Exactly.
Yeah.
able to
You're
have those
there.
things. Yeah. As to if there are days where I decide, I don't need it and I'm fine, I have those days too, where I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna have a session today. I'm gonna just gonna be do me and figure out life and manage with other coping skills.
Yeah.
I journal. I
Nice.
use my podcast. My
Yeah.
sister and I have
That's a
like
great outlet.
kind of talk. Yeah, our podcast we've created has been very loving and safe space between us,
Nice.
and I think it's gotten us back to building a better relationship with
Nice.
Alicia and I.
Nice. That's awesome.
Oh,
Oh, very
that's
nice.
wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was actually going to touch on that because you mentioned that it's a safe space for you. And I'm sure for your listeners as well, as we talked about, do you have any, or can you think of any memorable episodes or a specifically memorable episode that maybe you kept or your sister kept or your audience kept with you?
I would think it would be or one of our last recent episodes. My sister officially came out as gay,
Mm.
and
Oh wow.
she that
Yes.
through that process, we were having conversations, and through that process she was taking our audience through like, "Hey, I think I'm bisexual," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. What's that mean for you?" And then she's like, "Well, no, now
Right.
I have this friend and we kissed and I don't know what that means."
Mm.
And so she's taking our audience through that. And so she was really afraid to come out to her father because he's just a traditional Hispanic,
Mm.
man,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they don't approve. They're very like macho, and
Yeah.
Machismo.
yeah, he's a very
Yeah.
machismo, and she had already came out to my mom and I, and we're like, "All right, cool. What's her name? How does she make you happy?" That's all that really matters. And so that
Right.
episode, she really deep dived into. He kicked her out of the house. He told her
Mm.
to leave. He couldn't approve
Oh.
of it.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good
Vulnerable.
episode for me to be like, all right, I'm the big sister now.
Mm.
I have to, and I was able to explain to her from a parent's perspective too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we got to display we're 8 years apart. So when she starts to enter a chapter of her life, I just ended that chapter of my
Yeah.
life.
Yes,
So
exactly.
now so she's in her 20s now, figuring out her, and I'm in my late 20s, beginning my 30s, and I'm raising
Yes.
kids, and I've already been through multiple relationships and things to get to where I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I just wanted to give you a minute to kind of share what's happening with the Crescent Media. Crescent Media,
Yeah.
your business venture. Let's talk about that real quick.
Nice.
So I fell in love with podcasting, and a lot of my audience would DM me and on Instagram and TikTok. They're like, "How'd you grow this so fast?" And I was like, I've been a content creator for 12 years. I
Yeah.
took a good 8-year hiatus from that.
Mhm.
I did YouTube. I went to conventions. I went to Anime Expo. Like I was, living that.
Mm.
And then when I got into my first marriage, it got very toxic and abusive.
Mm.
So I left the internet, and then I showed up and I was like, all right, I'm on my second marriage. I have kids and this is my life now.
Nice.
back.
This is like second nature for you. So that's awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very
so
nice,
I
Kat.
started an online course, and then I realized that boomed from there, and I was like, I can really use the degree that I worked so hard for,
Yep.
you know, to
I
Mhm.
like that.
use. Yeah, and for me, I live in a small town in Arkansas, so it's the industry is not here.
Right.
Like,
Of course
Right.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arkansas, no. Well, all right. Well, thanks so much, Kat, for joining us. Unfortunately, we are out of time now. But
Thank you,
please just
Kat.
give any last words you have, and just be sure to tell everyone where they can find you and the Sister Sesh podcast.
okay, so first you can find us on our network, podsnetwork.com.
Yes. Pods
Yes.
Network, PODZ.
Yes. Yup. We are part of the same network, also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much everywhere you can find your podcasts. And
Yep.
just come join the sesh with us.
Yeah, the Sister Sesh podcast. It's a lot of fun, so you got to check them out. Thank you
Sounds
again, Kat, for joining us. We really do
for having
appreciate
me.
your time.
Thank you.
We got to have you
Kat.
back sometime. We have to give you, maybe
Oh,
bring you
yeah,
back as a
definitely.
guest host. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kat. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. All right. I did it again.
So we're gonna have we're gonna have a special episode, TLS Sesh.
TLS
Yeah.
Sesh. What I
We'll
watch you guys
package some
smoke.
edibles, Leo.
No, she doesn't smoke on air, but I mean, just full disclosure, we have, and now we're talking. So
Right. We
I'll
are
watch,
under the influence.
watch you guys smoke. All right, let's get into some hot topics. Robbie, you're going to start us out. You want to talk about Burning Man. Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Yeah, right. If Burning Man wasn't crazy enough a venue to begin with. So this year at the annual Nevada Desert Festival, renowned for its celebration of art and community, faced unprecedented challenges due to the heavy rains. So over the course of 24 hours, the region received an extraordinary amount of rain for the area, and it turned the festival grounds into a thick clay-like mud that left vehicles stuck and attendees completely stranded. With over 70,000 people in attendance, authorities advised people to shelter in place while the event organizers prevented entry and exit from the festival grounds. Tragically, during the rainfall, there was a death that occurred, and it is currently under investigation. But despite this harrowing tale, festival goers really showed resilience and community spirit. They stuck through it until it was deemed safe for them to leave, and they left in droves at that time.
I would.
Yeah.
I'd have been
So
out.
in the face of unexpected natural challenges like the storms at Burning Man, how can event organizers and attendees better prepare to ensure safety and an overall good experience for everyone? And should the event organizers be held liable for damages in a case where we have death like this that occurs?
Mm.
Yeah, so Burning Man, I mean, I had to look up what it was. I mean, I thought it was actually pretty
What?
cool. I mean, it looked like, I mean, it was like, what, I didn't know. Burning Man? It's not something I would have normally considered attending anyway. So,
Yeah, no.
but it's like an 8-day celebration, art, creativity, and, it's in the
Yeah.
desert, right? And so,
Yeah.
there's probably no cell phone service. There's nothing, and apparently that was reading that they don't use money. You have to use barter and donations. You bring your own food
Oh.
and water.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah. And,
Interesting. I didn't know that.
figure out your own electricity. So that's why a lot of people are camping and stuff like that. And the only stores you find are ones that sell ice and coffee, apparently. So, I mean, it's,
Horrible.
and then they have these really strict community rules that they have. But, anyway, to answer your question, so the festival tells people that for the time you're there, you need to be self-sufficient. It's in their handbook. It actually has a handbook which has their principles and ethics. It's almost like a cult or religion or something.
It's a manifesto
Meaning
of
when these
sorts.
policies.
Right. So,
Manifesto.
I mean, so when it comes to storms and things like these, I mean, the attendees are told ahead of time to kind of like you're on your
Dangerous.
own. Be ready. So, but I would say if storms like this, happen, organizers need to figure out something,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they got to figure out something. They can't just like leave people stranded. Get them some water. I mean, who knew that? How long were they stranded?
Oh,
Got
they were
their
just
money
stranded for a
too.
couple of days. They were leaving like Monday and Tuesday. So the event organizers, once things dried up enough, event organizers asked people to delay leaving as much as possible to prevent congestion. But after a few
Right.
hours, everyone was just going. So we're talking like traveling 15 miles in 5 hours time.
Yeah.
I would be pulling out what's left of my hair. A lot of people just
Yeah.
walked to the nearest town and hitched a ride out. Like,
Yeah, I heard.
I know that there's Diplo and Chris Rock were just trudging along the mud, and someone came along with a pickup truck and like, "Hey, you guys want a ride?" And they're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll take a ride."
Wow.
Yeah, so celebrities got stuck. Everybody got stuck out there. I don't know. Anyway, so
Wow.
what do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, it is the event organizer's job to, keep them safe. But like Neo said, there are certain things. If the event organizers are telling you the risk associated and it is on something that you sign, or even if you have the ticket, then you're saying, okay, I accept X, Y, and Z, whatever comes. So I don't think that the event organizers should have full blame or
Yeah.
should pay for everything. But I do think that, did you guys say that they were there throughout the entire time? The event organizers made sure that people were safe
Oh, of course.
and
Well, I
still
don't,
on
I don't know
site.
about.
They
I
did
don't
it.
know. They got stuck there,
They
I
did their
think,
job.
as well.
Yeah, like everyone
Oh.
was stuck there because it was just this clay pack.
No
It was,
way.
and I
Yeah.
mean, if you've tried trudging through that stuff, it turns into cement. Like, it is just so heavy and disgusting. And if you're trying to
It
drive
looks
through
heavy.
it, if you're going to sink, and getting you out is going to be an enormous task.
Quicksand.
I kept trying to figure out why
Yeah,
nobody would just get a helicopter or something to come out to come get you. But
that's messy.
especially the celebrities and stuff like that. I mean,
Mhm.
if I was Chris Rock, I'd just be like, helicopter, come get me because I'm right here. I
True.
figured it out. I
So-
got money, but they don't have
Well,
cell
it's
phone
raining, the
service.
weather-
Then you got crabs in the bucket kind of mentality happening, because if one
That's
person is
true.
latching onto a helicopter, everyone's rushing it to get out. You don't want that.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
But
could
I mean,
get
the good
hurt
thing
in
is
that.
only 2 days. It wasn't even that serious.
Yeah, but people were probably
Mm.
hungry. You said that they don't have shops there. I didn't.
They just
They
bring
don't
your own
have anything.
food. But I'm
Right.
sure some people have more food than others. They could have
That's true.
shared.
See, this is another festival. There was like something called the Fire Festival. I think Ja Rule was a part of it.
Oh,
All these weird.
that's a
weird
completely
festivals.
different thing.
That is a
The Fire
different thing.
Yeah,
Festival
but I
was a
don't-
one-off thing where people got ripped off, fleeced. It turned into a Lord
Okay,
of
that
the
is
Flies situation. This is just, it was a completely freak weather incident. They got 2 months worth of rainfall in 24 hours. So it transformed the landscape into something that they never have to deal with. This wasn't something that they could have really provisioned for. So the event organizers, at that point, maybe dropping wooden pallets around just so people can get around a little bit better, maybe doing something to that effect, working with some basic engineers to figure out a good solution to
Yeah,
ferry
they should
people
have had a
out,
plan.
like you were saying.
Yeah.
At least food and
sure
water,
that they
I
will
think it was
moving
more
forward,
important.
It is
right?
the desert, though. It is the desert, though. So okay, what are the risks? Like, let's assess the risk that happens with a festival in the
Yep.
dry desert, in the middle of the desert.
But
Rain
like
could
Neo
happen.
said, there is a guide for the festival goers. And if you're attending a venue and they provide you with a manual, like, this is the stuff you need to look out for, because that's it, you're out in the middle of the desert. Okay, so if you don't prepare adequately, that's on you. Because they did tell me that, you bring your provisions, you bring wood blocks so that you can get your stuff off the ground. So if you didn't do that stuff, then you're sinking in the mud, and you are just another part of the problem. It's unfortunate that someone lost their life, and I hope that
Yeah,
there's
I
no
don't know
foul
who that-
play involved in any
I
of
bet
this.
it was.
It seemed, from what I've been able to glean so far, it looks like the death took place during the torrential waterfall. So if you're an event goer and you happen to be intoxicated or incapacitated in any way, it just takes this much water to drown, right?
Yeah.
So
I guess
we'll see what they find.
Yeah, I guess we'll
For
hear
sure.
from the investigation, but I didn't hear what the cause was for that death or what they think happened.
It wasn't clear.
I didn't hear
They
anything.
don't have
clarified.
reason to suspect foul play at this time, but it is under investigation.
Jacqueline Robinson says, it's not as if they were defrauded like the attendees at the Fry Festival.
Fry.
What was the Fry
The
Festival?
fire. I think she means
Fire.
the fire festival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Fire
she
Festival.
does.
The one that Gianni was talking about. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Just a misspelling.
I just think festivals in the desert is.
Got it.
Why am I here? I'm not going.
So you're not going?
No. Mm-mm. A tropical like Amazon forest. Yeah,
What?
I'll go.
Wait,
to
you
that.
would take
Yeah.
the
There's no
tropical.
cell phone service there.
You would take a tropical Amazon forest over the desert.
Over the desert, Neo. The desert is scorching hot, freezing cold at night.
Do you know
Freak stuff
Amazon?
like
You
this
took
can
you talking
happen. The
snakes,
dust.
bugs. Oh my
Yeah, but
god!
they would have protections for that. They wouldn't let you go next to a boa
You're in the
constrictor.
Amazon rainforest. What kind of protections are you talking about?
Yeah, man.
I would
They
take
would
the
have
desert anytime, as long as I had enough water and food and stuff. I would take the desert over that any day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's less.
How about
less
you,
stuff
Rob? You
trying
would
to
take
eat
the
me.
desert?
Over the
People are crazy.
rainforest, yeah, because I'm not a fan of predation where I'm on the menu.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the rainforest, there's a lot of little things and a
Yep.
lot of big things that will put me on the menu. The desert,
True.
I can prepare for that. It's going to be uncomfortable. But even the Amazon rainforest, you're talking like the desert is a dry heat. The rainforest is a humid, stifling heat. And don't kid
Like
yourself,
Georgia.
it gets cold at night also.
Me and my wife watch Naked and
I can
Afraid.
imagine that.
We watch Naked and
Right.
Afraid all the time, and I tell her the one thing that would make me quit is freaking bugs and cold. I would quit in a
You're quitting
heartbeat.
already.
I mean, I'm naked and cold, and then bugs biting me. No, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
extremely uncomfortable.
All right, is this true?
Truth,
By Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
This is some
Was-
truth
Yeah.
and
I mean, what else could they do? I
shenanigans.
mean, I don't think they could have done much else. I mean,
No, and that's it.
I mean, you guys-
you
I
learn
still
from
think
it,
they're
right? So
prepared.
yes,
you
I'm going
learn
with
from
true.
it, and that way, if something like this were to happen, then you can organize some airdrops to bring in
Yeah,
water.
next
and
time, just have
supplies.
something like ready. Have a warehouse nearby, like you said, and just be able to do that.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Yep.
idea too.
All right, before we get to our next topic, let's take a quick break from all the shenanigans. I've got to take a minute to tell you about, you guessed it, Pods Network, PODZ. It's not just any podcast network. It's a hub for aspiring podcasts and curious listeners like yourself. Tonight's guest, Kat, from Sister Sesh Podcast, is one of those gems that you'll find there. And while you're there, check out that show that effed me up. Sorry, Robbie.
Correction.
Okay, we already talked about some CP earlier on, and he doesn't like that either.
Silly. The Just Be You podcast and Sunny Mary Meadows podcast. There's some amazing podcasts there waiting just for you. Aspiring podcast, curious listeners, that's what Pods, PODZ Network, is all about. So after this episode, head over to Pods Network and download the next episode of Truth Lies Shenanigans and the Sister Sesh podcast. Trust me, you'll appreciate it. All right, let's get into our next topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, so the amazing 19-year-old Coco Gauff won another match in the U.S. Open. And as of our recording right now, she's heading into the semifinals and seems to be a favorite to win the title. Well, the other day, me and my wife got to talking about Coco Gauff, and she told me about her first match where Coco got into it with one of the refs. And she started talking about, like, this angry black woman this, angry black woman that. So I was like, I got to check this out. And so when I looked at the tape, it was reminiscent a little bit of the Serena Williams rant to the judge in 2018, where, you know, she was cited. Well, it got into the social media where they were talking about this angry black woman trope. And yeah, Coco was complaining that her opponent, German player Laura Siegmund, was going too slow between serves.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I looked at the video a little more, I mean, she was going slow. And the commentators were saying the same thing. And I saw another video where Laura was also complaining to the judge, and she ended up getting a warning for going slow. So anyway, my wife was really into this black woman, angry black woman thing. So I'm going to save my thoughts a little bit. But what do you guys think? You know, are women like Serena and Coco who voice their complaints, are they stigmatized by this angry black woman stereotype? What do you think, Gianni? Are you an angry black woman?
I can be sometimes. I'm going to be honest. But I'm so tired of that narrative. Like, hang it up, okay? Because at the end of the day, I think that even if she was to voice her opinion being white, it wouldn't be the stigmatized thing. I don't think the people that are actually talking about this being a stereotype and the angry black trope are people that kind of want to make a big deal out of it. Because when you watch the video, you see how she goes about it. She wasn't really coming across like belligerent. Like, she was literally just passionate, expressing what she felt was wrong. So I feel like how she went about it didn't give me angry black woman vibes at all. I was expecting to see that a little bit. But no, I'm tired of it. I think even like you guys are probably tired of hearing the narrative, the angry black woman. And it's like this aggressive, deep-rooted thing that's been here since like slavery, to be honest. Like, it's deep-rooted in like slavery.
I mean, do you think the black woman, the angry black woman trope, the stereotype is real? I mean, is it something that exists?
Yeah,
I mean, so it does exist. You're just tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about it because media projects it out too. Like, media makes it a thing too, and they kind of play on it, especially in, like, speaking from my culture, I mean, my generation's culture, it's like they'll say a darker skinned girl is more of that angry black woman stereotype than a lighter skinned girl. And they'll kind of put that thing as a thing too. But just not to digress, it is something that is still put out there, and media is one of the biggest players in like perpetuating that stereotype.
Before I get to Rob,
continuing things.
Jacqueline Robinson says, I agree with Gianni. I think it's a non-issue, even though the trope is exhausting. It exists, but it doesn't apply in this situation. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I don't think it applies in this situation either, to be honest, because when I check things out, Coco spoke up when it was warranted, and really we should be glad that she did, because the umpire was trying to white-splain away Coco's experience when she was talking about the rule breaking. And, you know, like, I mean, it's barely noticeable, sure, but, you know, her opponent, Laura Sigmund, was slowing the pace of the match, and technically that's cheating. So, you know, the nice thing is that this interaction was caught in 4K and the whole world got to witness it. I think of other tennis players. I mean, you know, as far as tantrums, I think of like John McEnroe. I think of that guy losing his mind.
Is that an angry white guy?
Screaming at right? I mean, exactly. No one was talking about an angry white guy trope. It was just, man, that John McEnroe, he's
an asshole,
he's
right?
Something, right? Yeah, well, that was the consensus. But yeah, no, it's the trope is definitely around. I can't say that culturally it's something that I'm really aware of.
Right.
But I know that the trope is alive and well. It's presented in media. It's presented, and they're just trying to spark outrage by calling it the angry black woman, because Coco had every reason to advocate on her behalf on the court, and her coach was encouraging her to engage the umpires, and like, you got to say something. You've got to say something.
Yeah.
So she did.
I think
Good on her.
sometimes we're reaching. I think we as Black people sometimes reach a little bit too far, and I get that there is an angry Black woman stereotype, and it's more than just a label. It is a systemic issue that Black women do face. Where as soon as you get angry, you can be dismissed because it's just an angry Black woman. So whatever their concerns aren't important. It's just an easy dismissal.
Right.
Angry Black woman.
Mhm.
It's just her again, right? And so
Yeah,
I get
right.
it, and Black women do get silenced, but I don't know. I just didn't feel it like you guys. I didn't see it, and I'm trying to tell my wife. I'm like, I don't know about this one. Nigga. I don't think this is an angry Black woman thing right here. I mean, she's just complaining, and then it seems normal to me. I mean, everybody's agreeing with her. They're booing the German woman.
But it's interesting that
Yep.
it's like I'm not to like. I just feel like it's Black people that would call her out on that and kind of be like, "Oh, she's doing too much" or whatever. But it's like we kind of perpetuate it too, like our own culture. Like we do that same thing, and I think that it's okay
We
to
do.
have your feelings
Mhm.
about it, but I think it's so embedded for like Black women to have that stereotype that now we're scared to even have that be said about us. So we go about it in a way where we're trying to be soft and we're trying to make sure we don't speak so loud, or so we have to like manage other people's emotions basically, because how we talk is a threat. like when we're
Yeah.
passionate, it's scary. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And so you can easily get dismissed. I mean, I don't think I think we need to continue to avoid. I'm sorry, we need to continue to dismantle harmful stereotypes like this, right? And to kind of recognize when they're happening. But we do run the risk of diluting the conversation, right? Because if we're always, everything is this Black woman problem, the angry Black woman thing, and we just, then people start to be more dismissive of when it does happen and when it does occur. I don't know. Anyway, I totally disagreed with my wife. So I think it was reaching.
I mean, she
anyway.
has a point to her point. There's a reason she has. Because, I mean, as a Black woman, you do kind of want us to not get picked on so much all the time. Like, especially if I see Serena out there and she's getting a little loud, I'm like, all right, calm down, hot pants. Like, you just want them to.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's you. You see,
I
you're
love
being
Serena.
dismissive. You're being
No, I
dismissive.
love him.
you just calling her an angry Black woman. I get it.
Called her hot pants. Hot pants.
All right. Jacqueline Robinson says some of us are old enough to remember Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, like Robbie was saying, throwing rackets, etc. The angry
Yes.
Black woman trope is used to silence us. It's particularly hurtful when Black men take it up.
Mm.
Interesting. It's actually
Yeah,
it's even more interesting because the that same day that we had the conversation, we were out. I don't know. We were at a concert, and and she was saying something to me. I was like, "You don't have to get angry." And she's like, "There you go, angry Black woman." I was like, "Oh my God, here we go. Oh my goodness."
You gaslighter, man.
I know, right?
You lit her
Why
up.
would
You're
you do
awful.
that?
All right, is this truth,
Lies, shenanigans.
lies, or shenanigans?
I
This is
think it's some truth.
Shenanigans.
I don't know. I think this is
I think it's true.
truth. I
But I
don't think.
think
I don't think
It's
it's any
shenanigans.
shenanigans.
It's being
this time.
overinflated. It's being
Okay, fair
overinflated.
enough. So you're going the
fair.
other way.
It is over.
You're making that.
They are doing the most.
It
in
is.
that
It is a
respect.
bit over the top. I don't agree this time. So normally I'd be in agreement and be like pro Black, but not not this time. I think my wife was surprised when I disagreed with her. Actually.
Yeah.
All right, Gianni, you've got it. We got to make this really quick, Gianni. Okay,
Really quick.
really
try.
quick.
Okay. So guys, all
Hold
right. So I had to talk about this. Okay, sorry.
Hold on, let that finish real quick. Give it 1 second. We're gonna do it one more time. All right, we got 3 minutes.
All right, so guys, I had to talk about this because it's in my own territory here in Georgia. So Lake Lanier is actually one of the deadliest lakes in the United States because over 200 people have actually drowned here. Its latest victim was a 23-year-old Gavry Whitlock who ran down the dock, slipped, and fell into the lake and didn't come up. He's not the only one. 4 other young men passed away this summer alone at that lake. But if you don't know about Lake Lanier's history, basically, white citizens wiped out a successful Black community called Oscarville. And then they created this man-made huge ass lake, basically.
Oh, really?
So yeah, that's what happened. Like, long story short, and after countless deaths and no justice, this area is said to be cursed. But I want to know from you guys, based on the history and the facts, do you believe this place could be cursed or haunted? And are you guys going to come to Georgia and take a trip to Lake Lanier?
So I saw an episode of Atlanta. I think it was like the final season where,
Yep.
you know, he was on the, he was in a canoe or something on a boat, and, you know, these ghosts or something came up out the boat and just took the white dude. And it was based on Lake Lanier. It was a hilarious episode. And matter of fact, the last season of Atlanta was really, really, matter of fact, Atlanta was a great show, by the way. If you haven't seen it,
it is a good show.
I really suggest you binge it because it's really, really good. There's some crazy episodes that just boggle your mind. And I don't know that I like the ending of the series, but overall, it's a really good show. But anyway, so here, but as far as haunted, it could be. I mean, it could be that these Black people are reaching up, grabbing these white dudes. You know, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? It could be. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
This dude ran on a slippery dock, fell, knocked his head, and drowned. No hunting involved. There's been 8 drownings so far this year. Yeah. Lake Michigan's got 24 drownings so far this year and over 1,100 reported drowning deaths. So, you know, if we want to talk about haunted bodies of water with body counts, let's talk about the Great Lakes. Let's talk about the oceans. Let's talk, like, really.
It's different.
No, the body count doesn't have anything to do with it.
It's different.
That's different.
Nah. Spirit of Black people. No, she's Johnny's.
Be careful around water. Be careful around water.
One, Rob, those bodies of water are huge. Lake Lanier is 38,000 acres, but Lake Michigan is huge, and it stretches along the point of Michigan,
That's
like the land. So that makes sense. But this little tiny piece of area is getting all these deaths.
And that's it. But we're just talking about deaths in the same body of water. So, I mean, the soul count, if you will.
She makes a good point.
Count.
Size does make a difference. So if you do deaths per acre, deaths per area.
Square footage, yeah. Like, how are that many people dying in this one specific area? Granted, you're right. He did slip because he's a weirdo and he was running. Why are you running? But how did he not come back up until 10 p.m.?
No, but you have to understand the ghost of Ebenezer. He put he made it really slippery on the dock, and so then he could grab him down. I'm telling you, ghosts.
Spirits are real, and I think that place could be haunted. That's why all the Black people in Atlanta do not go to Lake Lanier.
But I thought it was they only targeting white people, though. I thought.
No, it's targeting Black people that died. If you look into the history, it's Black people that mainly die and Hispanic. The guy that just died was Hispanic.
Oh, hey, Guillaume, let's go for a swim and see what happens.
I'm all right, Rob.
Who's coming out right?
Johnny, come with us so we can cover more bases.
I thought it was the other way around, so no, I'm good now.
Yeah, I'm not coming.
Neil's like, actually, I'll pass.
Don't worry about it.
All right.
But no, there's been some shows on this.
Shenanigans.
There's been some shows on this, but maybe you guys never know. I might make a movie on it.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Johnny. It's a Truth Live Shenanigans. I'm going, it's true. It's true. No, it's true. I mean,
It's shenanigans because I'm not going there,
then black
but
people,
it is truly
them
cursed.
old black people are pulling people down, killing them. I'm down with it. Atlanta sold me on it. All right, those are some fun topics, guys. Actually, I'm glad we got that last one in, Gianni. All right, let's get in our game show. All right, today's game is Have You Ever? We'll spin the wheel, and the wheel will give us something random asking, have you ever, whatever. Have you ever met a celebrity, for example?
Ooh.
Yep. And so you can only score a point if you have done it and you tell the story about it. Now, if you didn't do it or don't tell the backstory, you don't have to tell the story. No points for you. Person with the most points wins the final thought for the show. All right, we are going to start. Let's start with Rob B. Let's have some fun.
Dag it. All right.
Oh, easy one, Robbie. Have you ever shoplifted?
Oh, who hasn't?
Yes, I did, and actually, I was quite adept at it as a youth, and it did get me into trouble.
Ooh, adept at it even.
Yeah,
it was good.
So it was. Yeah, it was. It was
too good.
Yeah, it was a good turning point.
Five-finger Rob.
Ooh, yeah. There was a buddy system.
Oh, even worse. you had accomplices. All right.
One accomplice.
All right. Gianni. It's the easy one. Have you ever listened to a song that made you cry?
Definitely. I'm actually trying multiple times. I'm trying to think of which song. You know what song makes me cry?
What's that?
The song with that comes on the commercial with the animals in the arms. When I was young, that song used to make me.
Sarah
McLachlan.
Yes.
So sad.
Canadian treasure. Right, you hear it and you just.
But it's the commercial making you cry. Not is it the song or the commercial?
It's the song coupled with the beaten and abused animals.
Right.
So I
you
think
can't
it's
hear
just
the
like
song without seeing those images.
Without that imagery, yeah.
Yeah.
She locked it in our minds.
All right.
So yeah.
Point for both of you. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, have you ever been mistaken for someone famous?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been mistaken for a couple of different people. Yeah, who do I look like?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, you don't.
I don't look like anybody, right? So anyway, when I was younger, people would say that I look like Ice Cube. And then
okay, I can see that. I can see.
And then there's this guy from do you remember the show Prison Break?
Yeah.
There was this Hispanic guy. I forget his name now. Robbie's looking it up. I see already. But that they used to say.
Amaury Nolasco.
Yeah, they used to say I look like him.
I kind of see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see it.
Oh, I gotta see it now.
Yeah. Looking at some different images. Yep, absolutely. With his little goatee.
Yeah, and people tell me I look like him. I see it a little bit too. I could see where it is. What's his name again?
It's
yeah, you
Nolasco.
do.
Mari Velasco. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of do.
Right.
Okay.
So, point for each of us. All right.
He was that guy in Benchwarmers.
He was what in Benchwarmers?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Robbie, have you ever farted and said it wasn't you?
I've never done
probably
that.
daily.
Of course I have. Come on, I'm a guy. I grew up with a kid brother. It's something you do to your best friends.
It's probably daily.
You rip a good one and you blame him and walk away. Yeah, of course you. Of course.
I blame the dog.
People are sick.
There's something wrong with that dog's diet.
All right. Gianni, have you ever stole? This is a good one. Have you ever stolen something from your parents or siblings?
Yes. You know what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
I actually stole. This is not funny. I stole from my stepdad a joint when I was like 18, 19. He smokes weed, so he had like joints pre-rolled in his little drawer, sock drawer. and I remember stealing a couple.
Oh,
I don't think he cared, or he just didn't notice. He never said anything.
I don't think he didn't notice. he probably just didn't know who it was.
Or he didn't know who
Right.
took it, and he didn't want to have that
Right.
conversation.
Right, he want to have the conversation.
Exactly. My mom did not approve. She was, "Mm-mm,
Yeah, that's what
not
it
in
was.
this house."
You probably thought mom took it. All right.
He was like, I'm just not gonna say anything.
I'm not gonna say anything.
All right, that wasn't a good one. Farden said it wasn't you. Let's try it again. Ooh. Have you ever cried for no reason?
There's always a reason.
I was going to
Psychologists
say,
would
I always have a reason. I mean, I've cried out of the blue, you know, sometimes. I'm like, especially when I'm watching
Really?
movies and stuff, or like, well, especially, I think I've told
Well,
you,
then that's a
I think
reason.
I've told you guys here that I want kids, and I haven't been blessed with kids yet. So oftentimes I'll see shows or movies where, with parents and children, and I'll start crying. I ain't gonna lie, I start
Aw.
crying sometimes. I'm like,
There's a
"Aw."
reason.
Oh yeah, don't start with me on that. Okay. All right, we're gonna do one last round, and then we're just gonna pick a winner. All right. All right. All right, Robbie, have you ever cheated on anything
Ooh,
or anyone?
Cheated on anything, so like a
of course,
test.
I have.
Yeah, like a test.
Sure, or anyone. Yeah.
Have you,
I don't think you have to answer
Yeah.
both. I think you can choose one or the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bob doesn't give me
so,
cheater vibes.
But I do
This
want to know about the
this-
cheated on the other person more than I want to hear about
This
No,
current version of Rob, yes, absolutely does not give you cheater vibes. But no, I had some deep-rooted insecurities as a young man. I craved love and attention, and unfortunately, I went looking for it in different places.
yeah, we know that story. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So now that I'm secure with who I am,
Yeah,
and I have
don't need
I'm in
to.
Don't
a very
need it.
loving relationship. I don't. I wouldn't fathom it.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Gianni, have you ever pooped in a swimming pool?
Ew. Absolutely not ever.
Oh, she hasn't done it. All right, no point for
That's
Gianni.
disgusting.
You're out, Gianni.
No poop for you.
Oh, I should have lied.
You should have lied.
Forgot.
It's too late now.
There was this Publix.
You're trying to make it up. Yeah, no, I don't believe it now. Because Gianni, if we're tired, I was going to give it to you,
That's
but too late now.
Have you guys ever done that? That's really gross.
No, I've never pooped in a swimming pool, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's
not in a swimming
nasty.
pool.
Are
Have
we
you ever gone on
animals?
a date just for the free food? Oh, Robbie, you're about to win
Yeah.
again.
Oh yeah,
I know Gianni has, but I've never
Yeah,
gone
see,
on a date
Johnny,
and gotten free
guys-
food.
several times.
Guys pay for your meal. Yes, it's rarely the other way around.
I have not even
Yeah.
gotten free food on a date, so no.
You guys could have sugar mamas when I mean you still can technically.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm kidding.
No, thank you.
I have a sugar mama. I'm
love you,
good.
Jeff.
All right. All right, well, Robbie, you win the game. Darn it.
Rob always wins.
Darn it. Darn it. Didn't want Robbie to win. He wins everything.
He literally does.
All right, Gianni, shout out.
Shout out to Black women. Sorry that our names are always in the media. Sorry that we're always getting slandered, but Black women, stay strong and love each other and support each other, and let's make each other proud.
That reminds me real
Shout out to
quick
Black
that I was watching the documentary about Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. We
Oh,
missed a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
key points that we would have been really valuable when we were talking about that. But anyway, but she's all about
Yep.
Black women and Black women power because of that. So anyway,
Empowerment.
empowerment. Yeah. Robbie, shout outs.
Shout out to the kids and parents who are dealing with back to school madness. And for those of us commuting with buses on the road, be cautious of the big yellow buses, flashing lights and stop signs. Please be safe out there.
My nephew got his first ticket, and it was because he passed a school bus. And they had a camera and they got him. I was so mad at him. I was like, good. I'm glad he got him. He needs to pay for it because his parents were talking about paying for it for him. I'm like, nah, he needs to pay for that. Anyway.
No.
Yeah, he needs to be careful.
Yeah.
He needs to be accountable.
And my shout out goes to Coco Gauff. I hope you win this weekend. I hope you win. Bring it home. Amazing. She's an amazing player. You got to watch her. She's not quite Serena.
So young.
But she's so good. So I hope she pulls it out and stand up for yourself. I mean, you ain't no angry black woman. Stand up for yourself, woman. Good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That is officially all the time we have for today's show. I thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something. I hope you got a new perspective. But I definitely hope you had some laughs with us. Look for us live again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Look for our official audio episode this Friday on Apple Podcasts, Pods Network, that's Pods with a Z, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. All right, Rob B, you won again. Close us out with the final thought.
You won again.
All right. So, returning to school is an opportunity to ignite your curiosity, passion, and potential. Embrace the journey of learning with enthusiasm and let it light the path to your dreams.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you, Rob.
That's nice.
We love his quotes.
Yeah, that is.
Everyone's heading back to school this week, so hey, man.
All right, Johnny.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny. We're gonna have to get these final thoughts. We're gonna have to stop letting Rob win all these games.
Next week. I'm gonna be tuned in.
All right, we're gonna figure this out.
I gotta figure out my price structure for reading your final thoughts.
That's funny.
I'm gonna monetize my wins.
All right. Thank you, Robbie Gianni. Thank you, Kat Henson of the Sister Sesh Podcast, for chatting with us. But most importantly, we need to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week.